mình xin giới thiệu qua nhé. Thì Anthony thì luôn luôn là một trong những cái speaker mà mình luôn luôn mời đầu tiên trong vấn đề automation về mã nguồn mở. Đấy, thì năm nay thì Redhat sẽ có những cái bước phát triển mới về automation, và họ đang hướng tới những cái câu chuyện liên quan, mọi người nhìn đây này, AI driven, tức là một cái sẽ hướng tới về cái việc tự động hóa cho những cái ứng dụng về AI. Và đây là một trong những bước tiến, một cái hướng chủ đạo mới của Red Hat. Thì mình cũng đã yêu cầu Anthony bảo là có cái gì mới về cái hướng đi này thì sẽ chia sẻ với chúng ta nhá. Và mình sân khấu lại cho Anthony. Hey bro, so it's your time.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm gonna start, okay? Right. Hi everyone, right? I'm Anthony Lin. I'm actually the specialist solution architect that's covering Redhat ASEAN, right? So today we are going to look at how we can use AI-driven IT automation together with the Ansible Lightspeed, which is something that we have just released recently, right? Mentioned during the Redhat Summit on how we can leverage on generative AI to create tasks within the Ansible playbook. So those are things that we'll be covering. I'll be showing you a short demo later on how this can actually be used, and you can actually use it
I,
yourself and try it as well. Go ahead, sorry.
yeah, I think just go. I think we can start with your demo.
Oh, we can start with demo.
Yeah. Because I think this topic is quite so blurred to many people here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we want to skip the front portion. Okay. The demo isn't super long, right? So it's mainly on how it's specific to Ansible itself, right? So the front part is actually to talk about what are the different things that we can
Hey,
do.
but yeah, Anthony, can you explain to us what is Ansible Lightspeed first?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ansible Lightspeed itself, let me just talk about Lightspeed, right? Actually, to talk about that, I need to start with some of the stuff in the front on the generative AI piece. But maybe I can just talk about what we have over here.
Okay.
So you can see over here that when we try to create Ansible playbook, you actually need to have knowledge of Ansible, right? In order for you to be able to create content using Ansible playbooks. So what has to happen over here is you need to be able to figure out what module to use, for instance, and what collections to use in order to create the Ansible content. So what Lightspeed is about is a way of using generative AI to generate the content for you. The first version of the Ansible Lightspeed, which is in tech preview at the moment, is to help you to generate the task that is needed for you to run a particular action. So for instance, the demo that we will show later on, quick one, right? It's on how you can actually use Ansible Lightspeed to do things like installation of a cockpit or some other kind of services. It can even be things like what are the tasks if I want to generate to create things like EC2 instance within AWS environment, right? So those are things that can be done. The Lightspeed itself is a project that we are working together using the Watson Xcode assistant, right? Using that to generate the content that is needed for us to create the relevant task, right, for the Ansible playbook. So what will happen is that you need to leverage on things like the VS Code to go and use that plugin. Once you have the plugin, you'll be able to then create the task that's needed for the Ansible piece.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead.
Mình muốn hỏi mọi người hiểu cái Ansible Lightspeed nó làm việc gì không? Anh em hiểu đúng không? Đó, nói nhanh qua nhé. Ansible Lightspeed là nó sẽ sử dụng cái generative AI đấy, đó là cái công nghệ đứng ở sau ChatGPT ấy. Thì nó sẽ sử dụng cái IBM Watson Code Assistant này, tức là nó là cái sẽ hỗ trợ để generate những cái nội dung ở trong cái playbook của Ansible. Sau này anh em mình đỡ phải viết code nữa, không? Sẽ là một cái ứng dụng của generative AI khá là hay. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So there is actually a difference between us and ChatGPT, right? So for instance, like if you were to use things like ChatGPT, you tend to be getting different kind of responses as opposed to using Ansible, right? So for instance, if you are using Lightspeed, or rather if you are using ChatGPT, you can see over here that we are all doing the same thing in a way, right? We are using prompt engineering. So what it does is that you're generating different content. So for instance, over here, I'm saying that I want to create a Amazon S3 bucket. If you use ChatGPT, it is going to give you different kind of answers, which can be quite inconsistent. And the variance actually increases as the playbook task complexity increases. Whereas in the case of Lightspeed, it is actually tailor-made for Ansible, right? So what we are doing is that we have foundation models that is coming from the IBM side, right? And as well as from our experts within the Redhat side of the house to come up with what we can actually do when it comes to a specific creation of a task that's needed to do certain things. Right, so that's just to differentiate between the Lightspeed that Redhat has for Ansible as opposed to the ChatGPT. Yes.
Rồi.
Yeah. All right. So okay, so that will be more of what exactly is Lightspeed. I'm just going to go through a few slides and then we go quick into the demo, right?
Okay.
So this itself, it's based on the best practice. We are basically leveraging on past experience that we have. We will kind of normalize content coming from other people to make sure that we don't leak out whatever that people are doing. And then we have the code assistance that is actually running on top of the OpenShift AI, right? So that is another piece that is used within this whole thing of doing training. The first version, right, what we have is that we are pulling content, for instance, from the Ansible Galaxy, and then we are going to fine tune it together with the content that we are coming from different places. Let's say, we are looking at what we are doing from our consulting perspective for other customers and trying to fine tune all the results that's coming in. So we always try to match a source of each suggested generated suggestion to the potential source, right? Later on, we will see as well, right? It's not just creating a content, but we will actually tell you where the content is coming from, right? So that you know for sure that this is something that you can actually be using. The goal is actually to make it easier for people with different skill sets to write Ansible codes. So we spoke to different customers as well. Sometimes what is lacking is the skill sets to write automation. For instance, if I wanted to do a certain kind of automation, can be things like disaster recovery, can be things like provisioning. What are some of the actions that has to be taken? You need a certain level of skill sets. So those are things that if we are using Lightspeed, for instance, it can help to reduce the kind of time that's needed or taken in order to perform this particular action. Right. So that's something that some of the customers today are finding valuable, especially with things like generative AI that's becoming popular. Right. So of course, after that, we have this whole idea around data privacy and protecting the data, right? And as you can see over here that this is around the task generation portion. We are generating a task based on the prompt that you have given onto the name, right? And then after which we are suggesting what can be done in the playbook as well as the task. And we will do things like content matching. And then of course, for the post-processing piece is actually trying to make sure that whatever that has been generated, it is in accordance with the best practice that you will be using when you write a playbook. Right, so you can write a playbook, but it may or may not be in the way that is in accordance with best practices. But if you are leveraging on tools like this, it will actually help you with that piece. Right, so I'll just show you how it looks like. So if you have the VS Code itself, right, you can see over here that we have the plugins in the extension portion that is being installed. So for instance, over here, we have the Ansible plugin, right, that you can actually install on VS Code. So you'll need to have this. what you have to do after that is that you actually have to make sure that the extension settings itself, right? Over here, you want to enable Lightspeed and Lightspeed with the Watson Code Assistant inline suggestions. This is available for everyone to use. All that you need to do is you need to use your GitHub ID, right? Over here, you will be able to do a connection, right? I'm going to show another environment where I have not actually connect. So in this particular environment itself, what will happen is you have the rel instance. Over here, if you have not connect, it is going to ask you whether or not you want to allow it to connect to Lightspeed. If you say allow, right, it is going to then go into the login page. You need to then log in with your GitHub, and after which you'll be able to log in. So once you are logged in, right, what happens is that you will then see this page where you are shown as being logged in using the GitHub ID that you have. So with that, you will then be able to make sure that this is showing as Ansible right over here. This language itself has to be Ansible. And then you will see the Lightspeed logo on the side. So what happens over here then is that you can say that I wanted to do a particular kind of task, right? So for instance, over here, I'm trying to deploy the rel monitoring, right? And then I can say that the first thing that I wanted to do, for instance, is to install the copied packages. So this really is just similar to what you do with ChatGPT. You're giving a prompt, right? So the prompt over here is to install the cockpit package. So if you hit enter, you can see that it gives a suggestion, right? So over here, it's actually trying to tell you what has to be done. So if you hit tab, right, it will accept the suggestions that is actually given by the Lightspeed. And as mentioned earlier, right, we will want to make sure that it is coming from sources that we know where it is coming from. So over here, it actually shows you the training matches. So you can see that this particular task is actually generated based on different sources. So for instance, over here, we have it coming from the Ansible Galaxy over here, right? This is where it is found. And this over here, as well as the content over here as well. Right, so those are things that you can actually be having, right, when we perform this kind of actions. The same thing will go for the others as seen over here. So the next thing that you wanted to do after you install is to make sure that the configurations are actually available. So you want to be able to copy the configurations over. So then you don't actually need to know what modules you have to use. Right, so over here, we will know that it is the copy module. You hover over, you actually see information related to this particular copy module. Right? So then it allows you to copy the files to a remote location. For instance, it sets up the owner, the group, the mode that you have, right? And again, over here, it changes as what we see earlier is now different. So you will see over here that, for instance, now it's leveraging on other roles and collections that is being created within the Ansible Galaxy. So as of today, this is actually feature, right? It's available for everyone to use. You can just use it and you'll be able to do something similar that looks like this, right? So that's what this thing is about. And once you have this done, the same kind of steps you'll follow. After which, what we do is that we will then do things like git push with the source control, right? If you make a change, you move it into the repository, right? Once it is inside the repository itself, right? In this case, I'm using Git, right, for the repository. And the end result is that the Ansible controller will then be able to consume it. In this case, we have the controller over here. We have a job template, and you will be able to just use the content that you have actually created to go and perform the task that is needed, right? So that's kind of what an end-to-end process will kind of look like for someone who is actually using the Lightspeed and making sure that everything is working the way that it should, right? So after this playbook is run, essentially what happens is that whatever that we want to install will get installed over here, where we get the UI to the cockpit for the rail. So that's kind of what we can do for now, but we actually have other things that is coming, right? So you can see over here that some of the benefits that we kind of mentioned as well over here is that you will be able to reduce the time taken to create playbooks, let's say from 2 days to a couple of hours. And today, what we have, content generation, right? We wanted to generate a playbook content from a natural language request. The next thing that will happen in this whole evolution, right, is that I want to be able to do things like content discovery. So you want to find me a playbook or role similar to what I'm doing, review the playbook, make it better, content optimization, as well as content explanation, right? Telling me what this playbook is doing and what impact it has. So that is where this whole project is actually moving. And at this point in time, this is on the features in the roadmap from our perspective. Yeah, this is on the Lightspeed portion.
Okay, great. Any question? Mọi người có hỏi gì không? Nào. Hỏi đi em. Có cái micro. Không có bạn nào có ở đây.
Yeah, hello, Anthony. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well.
Yeah, okay. So we are evaluating a tool same like this, but it has more broad view, not just for Ansible, but for some code, some Terraform, and something like that. So as our concern is that because every AI generative solution will bring our code to outside of our corporation. And if our company is an outsourced company, that would not working, right? Because you cannot take custom code and bring it outside to the untrust. No matter what the third provider promise, like we have the best security, we have the best defense, your code will not be exposed by other. But still, do you think that Ansible Lightspeed we have a self-hosted for some customized cooperation?
Yeah, so we get that question quite a bit as well. So of course, at this point in time, it's purely SaaS-based. So it's actually requiring internet, but I'm pretty sure we are looking at the on-premise version. So that is something that we are still discussing with the parties involved. Because over here we are using the Watson X code assistant, so it can be. I mean, typically, right, if you want to use these things, it may be quite resource and compute intensive. But of course, other than that, we are trying to make sure that the data is secure. But I get where you're coming from on having the on-premise version. Right now, it's just in a dev preview. It is just tech preview at the moment, right? We have not reached GA. I'm pretty sure we will be able to offer more things in the coming quarter. So in the next quarter, which is literally tomorrow, right, we will actually start to move into a stage whereby we will start to look at the commercial offering. So there will be some differentiations. I'm going to check with them on whether there's any roadmap to make sure that it comes on premise for the commercialized offering. But as of now, if you're using it for free in the open source way, right now it's still in the cloud. But even though it's in the cloud, everything is going to be protected in a way. We want to make sure that the data is scrubbed and it doesn't actually go out. But yes, that's a common question that I get from customers, especially for sensitive data.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you know if we have on-premise.
Mọi người còn câu hỏi là mọi người nắm được cái ý này đúng không? Hay là mình brief nhanh qua lại nha. Tóm lại là đây để mời bạn hỏi lại câu ấy bằng tiếng Việt, xong rồi để mình brief nhanh câu trả lời của để mọi người hiểu được cái case study này nhé.
Cái ý này là các bạn, các cái giải pháp AI generative này thì các bạn, cái code của mình đang cầm nó sẽ bị đem đi sang một nơi khác, để họ store. Và ví dụ như là mình một công ty outsource thì mình không thể mang code của khách hàng đi sang một cái bên third party, nhiều khách hàng họ sẽ không đồng ý. Thì đây là một cái vấn đề chung của các cái giải pháp AI generative. Và bình thường thì họ sẽ thay vì họ host một cái GPT model của bên họ, thì họ sẽ cái khách hàng là khách hàng có thể tự host một cái GPT AI model ở bên riêng side khách hàng, và sau đó rồi cái giải pháp generative nó chỉ là cái middle layer, nghĩa là nó lọc cái data và nó đưa ra cái giải pháp về cái AI model đằng sau.
Đồng ý. Bởi vì Anthony cũng nói là cái vấn đề này là thực ra là Redhat người ta cũng nghĩ đến rồi chứ không phải không, đúng không? Nhưng mà hiện tại nó đang thì một cái phase tức là một cái phase để một cái sản phẩm nó ra thị trường ấy thì có rất nhiều những cái phase. Thì đầu tiên là có dev preview, là development preview, thì sau đó sẽ là tech preview, thì sau đó mới là GA tức là lúc là sản phẩm nó đã được đi ra thị trường. GA là general available đấy. Thế thì hiện tại nó mới đang là ở dev preview thôi, tức là sau khi tức là cái sản phẩm Lightspeed này với cả IBM Watson ấy, họ hoàn toàn có thể deploy ở trên on-prem cho các bạn, chứ không cần thiết là phải tức là cả cái bộ sản phẩm này nó hoàn toàn có thể chạy trên on-prem được, chứ nó không đơn thuần chạy trên cloud như bây giờ nữa. Thì nó sẽ làm cho nó giảm thiểu tối đa về cái vấn đề là thất thoát mất mát dữ liệu. Đấy, thì cái phase này thì sẽ là sau. Thì hiện tại Red Hat chưa có. Đấy, nhưng mà họ đang làm việc này rồi. Okay, and any information you want to share to us?
Great. So was there any questions on like the models and all these things? Because these are actually coming from what we call as foundation models. So that's something that we are trying to build, you know, to make sure that it's actually going to work very well for Ansible. So that's one of those things. But definitely the on-premise one, it's something that we can look at.
But Anthony, it's just only the foundation models, all right? But the model varies based on various requirements from multiple customers.
Correct.
Yeah,
and
so
there will be a database of information that we will be able to leverage on. But the thing is that right now, right, this is something that we don't actually, I mean, even for myself, because this is not GA at the moment. So there will be certain things that we don't actually have a lot of information on. But definitely it's going to be based on foundation models. It's going to train based on the inputs that's coming. Because the stuff that you saw just now has been in a developer preview mode for a while. We have actually gotten a lot of people to test and work on it for the last 1 to 1.5 years. So we are collecting information to train the model to make it better, which is similar to any other large language learning model that we have. It is just that this is very specific to Ansible. We can be leveraging on the information or the ideas that has actually been done by people using it across the world and try to generate new contents around that. Right, so that's kind of where this is heading. And with this, it's actually able to become better over time, as with all machine learning kind of a model. This whole variation is going to be much lesser that you see with, let's say, ChatGPT, which is more generic in nature, right? So there's going to be some difference from that perspective, if you ask, right? It's purpose built. Let's put it this way. So that's the key difference.
okay. So any use cases for Ansible Lightspeed?
So over here, we could actually use it to generate content that can then be used for doing things like the event-driven automation kind of stuff, which is also part of the, I mean, I know that I'm kind of running out of time, but it's also part of the things that we were doing with EDA, right? So for instance, one of those things that can be done over here is that if we have a bug, right, we will be able to then just do we can listen to it, and then we can say that, for instance, like if I were to do a shot on the interface, And then it's actually listening to the events that's coming in, and after which it's actually going to generate a response to those events and to make sure that everything is actually working the way that it should be, right? So the way that we see it is more around how I can actually, so for instance, over here, we are able to get the events that's coming from, let's say, the switches and the routers that something has happened to it and perform an action to it. So the content that we are using, right, for instance, how to write the playbook and all these things, we could actually leverage on things like Ansible Lightspeed to help you to do the development portion of which. The whole idea over here is how we can actually reduce the time taken for you to do development work. And that if you have a team that doesn't really understand or still learning Ansible, this can help you to pick it up faster and also to give you the ways to do the best practice around it. So there are a lot of practical use cases and use cases that can be done in Ansible. You can actually leverage on Lightspeed for that. There's no limitations on the kind of use case. It can be disaster recovery, like provisioning or whatnot, different things.
Okay. And does Red Hat have any customers yet?
At this point in time, right now we have started testing with different customers, but I can't really name them. So what's going on right now is that because this thing is still in a tech preview scenario, so we have we call that lighthouse customers that's testing with us on this. So we're showing different customers around this as well. There are actually customers who are very interested in this technology, especially when they need to do a lot more automation with the same number of people. They always have the challenge of being able to generate good playbooks. It's not just around writing playbooks, it's around how we can actually create content that is good, right, based on best practices. So that's something that is important. And Lightspeed, together with other toolings like Ansible Lint, right, and other things like Molecule, right? So those things can all come together to give you the way that you can create good content that is in accordance to best practices and to kind of leverage on things that other people are already doing today. Right? So those are things that is happening today.
Mọi người có câu hỏi gì đâu? Anthony, do you have any? This is, I think I understand that this is a subscription from Red Hat, and we need to pay for it, right?
You don't actually. So this version you don't have to. So you see, the Lightspeed is available to all Ansible users, right? Free tech preview, right? It's only the commercial offering. You can use this. I mean, I'm using my own, or if you look at it, right, I'm using my own GitHub handler. This is my GitHub handler. I'm not using the one from Red Hat. So I'm able to use this. So we are not charging you for using this. In fact, I think the more people using it, it will be better for us because then we can improve the model. So those are the things. But of course, when we talk about the commercial offering, that is something that we don't actually have the info at this point in time. Right? It's going to come within the next couple of months. But right now, whatever I've done, you can do it as well. Anyone can do it. You just need to log in with your GitHub handler, and then you agree to the agreement. It will be okay after that.
Okay. Mọi người có hỏi nữa không?
It's free.
It's free.
For you to use now.
Yeah. Okay. Mọi người có hỏi nữa không? Đã có ở đây ai đã thử cái Ansible Lightspeed này chưa? Để nhá mọi người để biết là
very new, right? So that's why I wanted to talk about it.
Okay. Còn thời gian không em? Hay là okay. Okay, so thank you, Anthony. So time is up.
All right.
Yeah. So thank you for your sharing, and my pleasure to have you in our event.
Thanks for inviting, and hopefully everyone has found something useful over here. You can use it and try it out. Let us know if you have any issues with this.
Okay, great. Okay,
all
so all right. Thank you again. So have a nice day ahead.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.